The OBSBOT Talent is going to be the hub of the OBSBOT ecosystem for a long time to come. They have, with Magewell, developed a firmware-specific device that is centered in between its tail air, its Tiny 2 Lite, its ability to stream, its remote that works with these cameras. It's going to give us a 5.25-inch screen and an incredibly portable package. You're right, the audio is pretty rough in this video. I'm testing out my new Hollyland Lark M2, and I've muted the microphone. It's the one with all of the different possibilities for connections, and I had it plugged in to my iPad, but accidentally had it muted instead of having it on. You'll hear this pick up at the end of this video, but until then, just bear with me and know that I apologize for the less than quality of the video. Because you have the ability to use your own batteries, the NPF970 battery that I have here is a great battery. There are 2 battery slots on the back of the OBSBOT Talent where the feet will go. If you're not using the battery, if you're using AC power, you can plug those batteries in and you have a long time of battery power out in the field. In addition to the long time of battery power, they're hot swappable because there's 2 bays there. I can run one, charge the other one. When this one gets low, I can swap them out and not have to lose my stream, not have to lose my recording, whatever it is that I'm working on. It's going to give me that kind of freedom in my live streams. Now, I've already done a first look review of the OBSBOT Talent, and I'm not going to go back over all the features. I'm going to look more today at a tutorial on how to do some graphics and designs, how to set up your cameras, and how to go live with this device. It is a fantastic live streaming device because of its portability. It is diminutive. It is a long-lasting battery power, and it is powerful. There are a lot of things that you can do with this device out in the field. Now, I do want to say about powering it, we can't just bring our battery bank along and charge this device. It doesn't have a USB-C input for power. It has an AC power input, or we run our batteries. And so that's just one thing to keep in mind when we're setting up our system around the OBSBOT Talent. Just as a reminder, we do have a 1/4-20 thread on the bottom of this, so I can mount it to a tripod or a desk tripod like I have it today. I've got the 2 HDMI ports, the 2 USB 3.0 ports, which allow me video in, but it also allows me storage as well. Don't forget that you can have storage in those for a USB flash drive in those USB ports. USB-C, which is going to allow me portable storage as well as audio in, video out if I want to use a confidence monitor with this one. It has NDI, and I can connect up to 3 NDI devices at the same time. All total, I can connect 7 different devices to stream from with the OBSBOT Talent. It also gives me a physical Ethernet port, the SD card slot, from which I can not only record, I can also play back video at the same time. And of course, the hot swappable batteries that I mentioned just a moment ago. The limitation on its ability to take video in and put video out does cap out at 1080. I do want to make sure I mention that, which makes this the perfect live streaming device, because we are still not at the point where we can live stream with 4K in the field reliably. It's just not something that many people are going to have access to. So this 1080 device is going to be the sweet spot for a lot of people who want a small package, physical connections with HDMI. They want NDI. They want all of the bells and whistles that this device includes, but they want to be able to throw it in a backpack and it be something small enough, long-lasting enough that they can spend a day at the ballpark and be able to use something like this. And since our OBSBOT tail air cameras have the PTZ function, they've gone ahead and built in the ability to do PTZ whether we have the remote or not. It just pops up on the screen. We'll get to that in just a moment, but it also does integrate with the remote seamlessly, and we'll walk through that in just a second as well. So when we talk about connecting our cameras, I have a pair of Mevo cores plugged into my 2 HDMI ports here on the end of my OBSBOT Talent. I also have an OBSBOT Tail Air that is NDI in, just as a proof of it can happen. We can bring in other sources like a Tiny 2 via UVC, via a USB port as well. And so bringing video ability in is just as simple as plug and play. Let's get it in, and it's going to pop up on the choices for which I can add a camera. On our screen here, if I go to the plus, I see that I can add HDMI 1.2, webcam 1.2. I can actually bring in an SRT stream. I can pull up an RTMP. That's not something I have experience with, but it's a really good feature. Then of course my NDI, bring in still photos if I have advertisements I would like to show on the screen between innings, and I have the video clips that we can bring in as well. Let's go ahead and see video clip, SD card. Yeah, here's a little fireworks movie that I made from our vacation. We'll save that. And so now when I fire that fireworks video off, autoplay, and I didn't set it up to autoplay. There we go. You can see that I'm now showing a video clip here on the screen. I can run that picture in picture as well. That's one of the features of this device is picture in picture. But these additions to our live stream are as easy as just adding another feature when it comes to adding inputs. So that turns out to be something that is tap the screen easy, and it's something I can do in the field at just a moment's notice. Now, when I talk about graphics, the ability to do editing of my graphics on the device is something that's pretty impressive. So my graphics effects button is here. And so I can run a logo that runs across the bottom corner of my screen as if I want to. That's just a transparent logo that I made on my iPad. It was really easy. It has social media banners built in, so I can put my social media info in there if I like. I can run a scrolling banner across the bottom. Editing these things is as simple as tapping and holding, hitting the edit button. If I want to change what that says, I simply double tap here, and I have an editor pop up so I can put whatever text I want to in there. Changing the background, changing the text, changing the speed, all happens from that screen. Makes it really easy to add graphics into my stream through the OBSBOT Talent's interface. Now, the choices for graphics are just as impressive as its ability to add them. And so I have my favorite, the scoreboard. I showed you my scoreboard infatuation on my initial review. They're beautiful. They've done a great job, and they've added some more, it looks like. And so I can run these scoreboards. That's a good baseball scoreboard there that has all the features that I would want. And then the choice to change that scoreboard shows me this little screen right here, which is so incredibly easy to use. I just tap to change whatever it is that I need to change. I can keep a pitch count. I mean, all the stuff is right there in that scoreboard, and it shows up. That is resizable. All I have to do is tap and hold, edit it. I suppose I should have resized it before I started, but I can make that as small as we want to, put it in the bottom corner. And now I've got a scoreboard that the folks at home can keep up with what's going on in that game, because the graphic effects in the OBSBOT Talent are just that feature rich. They're just that fully featured. Okay. Another little piece here that you might find enjoyable as you're doing sports streams. There's a pencil there on the screen in the graphics section. So I'll tap that pencil, and then you can see, you can actually telestrate. You can write on the screen with your finger. I've set that one to go away automatically after 4 seconds. But you have some controls there as well with the ability to write over your screen if you're teaching, if you're presenting, or if you're doing a live sports stream. That's just the kind of thing that adds so much to the folks that are watching back at home. A lot of folks like to run a digital clock, either count up or count down on their streams. It's just something that some people value greatly. And so they've built in some digital clocks, some analog clocks. Of course, your titles and your lower thirds, your logos and your social medias. The stopwatch is a good feature as well. You can actually run a web page. You can tap that web page, enter your URL, and it's going to bring up that web page. Now, if there's not a background to the web page, it does show up as a transparent web page, which sometimes is a little more difficult to use. You'd have to add your own background in here, but that's also doable as well. So fully feature. Now let's figure out what it's like to get where I am from the very beginning. All right. So if I tap on the screen and choose my hamburger menu at the top left and choose create a show, that's where we actually begin all the things that I've been showing you. Now I'm going to let this show be its default 1080 60 frames per second. Notice that we can choose either a landscape or a portrait orientation for our show, depending on where we're streaming to. That is incredibly valuable. We're going to let this show create to begin, and I just begin by adding my inputs. So we'll take HDMI 1. I can crop this, I can frame this, I can label this, I can change all the things. I can add layers to this if I were to so desire. I do not want to add layers to that. We'll run an NDI in. We will let that search. There's my NDI. Go ahead and tap that. And so I have the other camera here that is just there for proof. So now I have a show that I have begun. I'd like to add a little bit of graphics. All right, so let's add maybe my logo back in. I liked having that earlier, so I believe that's the transparent one. I'm going to resize it. I'm going to bring it down here to the bottom where I like to keep a logo. We'll save that. I'm going to run that logo there. It shows up at the bottom of the screen. That's just too easy. All right. We do have a really good audio mixer here, so it gives me audio from each of the ones that I have available to me. Right now, I'm not running audio just for this demonstration purpose, but there it is right there on the screen. And then this other three-dot ellipsis here is going to give me some control. I can bring the remote controller in. So that's a nice feature. It's searching, it's not finding. I need to power this on, hit power, and immediately it finds my remote. I can connect it. Now I am connected. You can see I have camera 2 that I now have control over. And so if I go back into my, turn graphics off, go back, there we go. Then I can, let's see, double tap that. Nope, that, nope, that, nope. Yes, there we go. Now I have control, PTZ control with my remote from there. Using the remote, you are allowed to change your inputs by double tapping on the button that input is assigned to on the screen there. So if my HDMI input there is input 1, I can double tap my 1 button. And if my NDI source is 2, I can double tap my 2 and it switches back and forth. You can actually set up your picture-in-picture presets and use this top button on the remote to go into picture-in-picture mode. I don't have that set up. That would be for another time, but it's still a great addition to what you have there. Now, if you don't have the remote, you still have the ability to control your PTZ cameras from the screen. And so I can take and make some adjustments here just on screen because it has that ability built in, as this is the hub of the ecosystem for OBSBOT devices. And so finally, let's look at what it would take to go live or to start a stream from this show that we've created. Actually, before we get there, this menu that gives us these choices, the fade to black is a really cool feature that's easy, and it not only fades to black, but it unfades from black. So which is, to me, is a great thing to have there. You see that you can do your freeze there. Your remote controller there is at the top. You can rearrange or size what you've got going on in your scene order. If you want bigger preview windows, or if you want smaller to fit more on the screen, then you can do that as well. So I'm going to done that instead of changing anything. But then if you don't like what's here, there are some options that you'd rather have. You can customize this. You have a lot. You got background music. You can put your quick replay there. Replay is a function of this. It's a really good, well thought out replay system there. So all your customized buttons are here at the bottom there, and so you can bring those here and have them at quick access as well. So going live, I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to go back to my graphics, turn off my logo, and then get out of graphics. So I've got my inputs. All right, so my live button is here, and I can choose to go live to any of these. RTMP is my most common live stream destination, and so going into putting my RTMP credentials in Remember, for YouTube, Facebook, either one, I don't recommend going to Facebook anymore because of the way they make changes and you can never keep up with it. But going live to YouTube through RTMP, you need your YouTube live stream URL, which is in your YouTube studio information when you press go live there. And then you need your stream key, which is in the same place. And so you just name it, put your encoding settings there, your URL and your stream key. You don't have to do authentication there unless that's something that you've chosen to do. But you run your RTMP credentials there, and then you have your you press go live. For recording, we're just going to hit the record button, and whatever settings we've set it at, it is now recording to the SD card that's built in to the OBSBOT Talent. We'll stop the recording there, and we'll go into settings and look at a few things. So our encode settings here, we can change any of these. My encode 1, instead of it being H.264, I'd rather it be H.265. I do like 1080, but I like 30 instead of 60. My video bit rate, I'll leave that alone. Audio is fine. You have some advanced settings here as well. So we'll add that as one of my choices, select it as my first encoding choice. And so now I have H.265, which is HEVC 1080, 30 frames per second, 4.5 megabits per second for that live stream. You have all the different other settings here. This is not that tutorial, but for video effects, for graphic effects, for getting your inputs in and running a live stream or recording, the OBSBOT Talent is going to be a great tool for a lot of folks who do sports or on-site mobile live streaming.